So we're a rated R podcast. It is on all platforms. It is explicit content.
Yep.
For the very purpose of the individuals that we are interviewing.
Avril Lavigne, Ninja Turtles,
Jim Carrey. Robert Pattinson's Batman is Detective Batman.
Yes. I mean, he may have been a vampire at one point.
Welcome to the Ravens Whispers Across the Nine Realms, a podcast where Norse myth meets modern minds. We explore the realms of mental health, gaming, and community. One story, one conversation, one whisper at a time.
Raven whisper, north winds cry, where truth is hidden in the sky. Through nine realms wide and time grown cold, we seek the wisdom of the old. With axe and shield, with heart unbent, for honor's call our fate is set. We rise as one beneath the storm. To Raven whisper, we are sworn.
All right, back with episode 8. We are closing in on the end of season 1 of the Ravens Whispers podcast. We've got one more episode to record, and that'll come out roughly right before or right around Thanksgiving this year of 2025. So we're getting there, people. We're getting there. But today, tonight, I should say, actually probably the second earliest recording we've ever done is Dr. Smiles 1988, aka Josh Poole. He is what is your title again?
Well, I guess it depends which organization we're talking.
CTG. We'll start with that.
CTG. I recently became the assistant director of combat tested gaming.
Awesome. And so, yeah, this was actually kind of a spur thing with you, of course, because like you said, you recently got the title and the position. How long have you been with CTG prior to that?
Going on just a little more than 2 years.
Okay. All right. And then, of course, we have TROA's founder and presidente, Mark Peterson.
Hello, everybody.
All right. And, of course, I'm Joker, Randall Brewster, and this is Ravens Whispers, and we're going to get it raw and real. And of course, for all the listeners out there that have followed us so far, we've already talked to Lynn Rolfe, who is the VFW's program director or director of programs for the VFW. And of course,
Josh's boss.
Yeah, that's Josh's boss.
That is my boss.
And also, of course, being CTG, Josh is also in the VFW. You want to give us a little insight on what you do with the VFW, if anything?
I am a national member at large. My wife and I both are.
So nomads.
We are nomads. We were a part of a physical post at one point in time. The whole stigma with the bar scene came about, and then there was a lot of internal drama that
Mm.
we really don't. I'm not going to dwell into it because it was a couple of years ago. So we stepped away from the physical posts, and that's actually right around the time when we finally said, you know what, enough is enough, because we were with the physical posts for about 3 years, and we said enough is enough, and we went to our nomad status, and that's right around the same time we joined CTG, and been doing that ever since.
Heck yeah. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and get into question one. So, question one is your mental health journey. So, tell us where you kind of believe, looking back, where mental health struggles kind of began, whether it's in the military, outside of the military, and kind of how it progressed going through your life to where you are today.
Great question. So my mental health is kind of all over the place, I guess, more or less. I was in the Marine Corps. Obviously, you deal with a lot of anxiety. Don't be late, be on time. Standardized stuff, which is actually one of the studies that I was actually reading not too long ago, of why a lot of the global war on terrorism, or GWAT for short, a lot of those veterans actually have severe anxiety. It was a very interesting study. But with being in combat, or in a combat zone and everything else, toward the end of me getting out, I was angry. I tried to reenlist. I just had a ligamental knee replacement, and they said, "Hey, your body can't hold up to the weight. We got to carry," and yada yada yada, which was at the time BS, but it was also during cutbacks in 2014.
Oh, God.
So I tried to reenlist. They said, "No, you just had surgery," and that's the term, or that's what they used in order to say you can't reenlist. So when I got out, I was angry. I snapped at every little thing. I hated. I'm going to say, because it was a fault of my own. Hindsight, I should have done better, but I was also 25 years old and stupid.
Mm.
I was very angry at obese people. Like I'm not talking about just overweight. I'm talking about obese people.
Yeah.
Um,
Gross
and
obesity.
yeah, I was angry at stupidity. I didn't have any patience. And then right when I got out of the service, I worked at a couple of security jobs, and then went to work at retail.
Oh,
Yeah. So anger flourished even more. But by the time I started working retail, I kind of calmed down a little bit. I was a little more mature, and I got put in, because I had a military experience. They always want you in management. So I worked management, and I calmed down a lot, but I could easily snap. And it took years of therapy, medication, to finally get me where I'm more or less very, very level headed as far as my anger goes. Depression and anxiety I deal with on a constant, especially during the wintertime. A lot of people develop seasonal depression.
mm-hmm.
I am one of those victims of seasonal depression. Regardless of medication I'm on or what I'm doing, I will go through it. My wife and I both, ironically. But it's a very tough struggle. A lot of it dwells back into the military, especially with the anger. I do have sense of abandonment issues.
I got that.
Well, a lot of it, I'm not going to say was childhood. My parents got divorced when I was 2 years old, so I had a non-stereotypical childhood during like the 90s. But it was like that whole separation ordeal. But I also developed separation anxiety from the military, because even in 4 years that I was just in, you come very attached to people.
Well, especially with the Marine Corps, is the way they reprogram you to be that camaraderie and that togetherness.
They do. And like one of my close friends who I play video games with, ironically, on occasion, is that dude Ortiz, or David Ortiz. He was my corporal. He was my NCO while I was in. and we were prepping for a deployment together. I didn't meet this guy until halfway I was in the fleet. No, excuse me. I was like 6 months into the fleet, right after holidays. We came back from holidays. I never met him before. I saw him. He had a broken wing, and apparently he did something stupid while he was drunk. Whatever, it happens. But he became my corporal, and we were going to go on a deployment together to Afghanistan. And then he got orders or he was EASing, and poof, that was it. And I was like, well, shit. That was my buddy. That was my NCO. That was the guy I went to for answers and looked up to. Now what? And seeing a lot of my fellow Marines EAS and leave while I had time still to go, whatever, you develop that separation anxiety, but you really start to pull away from people. You say, you know what, I don't really want to get to know them because, they may EAS or they may TAD to a different unit or, whatever. I'm here for them because at that time when I got back from Afghanistan, I was an NCO, I was a corporal. And I was like, I'm here for you, but don't get to know me.
Yeah, because you don't want to lose someone that you care about.
Right. And you experience that in several different ways between as a junior Marine, when you first enlisted, you're doing all the runaround BS and, you're the new guy. I mean, it goes all the way. Granted, when I got to the fleet, I was already a Lance Corporal because I was meritorious PFC coming out of boot camp because I did ROTC in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then my schooling was all kinds of messed up because I was originally supposed to be a motor T operator 3531. Got to the schoolhouse, had to wait for the class to pick up, and then found out I had a depth perception issue. Had no clue. And then it took them almost a month and a half to find me another school to go to. And then I was in that school for 3 months. And for those who don't know about the Marine Corps, it's a meritorious 6 months pickup. So private to PFC is 6 months. It's 6 months from PFC to Lance Corporal, and the Lance Corporal to Corporal is a completely different ballgame. So when I got to the fleet, a lot of people thought I just came from Okinawa. And I was like, no, I just came from schoolhouse because I was already a Lance Corporal coming into the fleet. But even then in the schoolhouse, you become friends with some of the people you're with. Not all the time. And of course it depends on the schoolhouse, but that group, that class leaves or this class leaves or whatever, you start to develop that separation anxiety without realizing it. It gets worse when you get to the fleet. It gets worse, even more worse when you hit NCO. And then that when you EAS or when you're ETS or depending on your branch,
leaving the military.
Yeah. When you're leaving, when you're transitioning, you realize that, you know what, even if you're forced to leave, kind of like I was, or you're voluntary to leave or you're tiring or whatever, you kind of have that scratch in the back of your throat, those little tears in your eyes. Like, you know what, I don't want to leave because, this is what I know. This is my family. And I'm like, you're like leaving your immediate family there. And, you always wonder in the back of your mind, regardless how long you've been out, where those people are, what they're doing, how they're doing. At halftime, they're damn near impossible to reach. So, but that's one major factor with mental health that a lot of people don't realize is you have abandonment issues in the military.
Oh, yeah.
But that's my mental health journey for the most part. Anger, depression, anxiety, separation anxiety. I have severe driving depression. I'm on driving medication. I don't like driving for long distances by myself. I can't do it. So yeah,
road trip scenarios. You have
I get those knots in my stomach, and before it was officially diagnosed, like I would take a trip to the nearest major city, which is about 2.5 hours away, and we would have to stop about every 30 minutes.
Oh, goodness.
Because my stomach would cramp up so bad.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't really, especially veterans and first responder type stuff is we don't necessarily know we have these issues while we're in. It's not until we get back into the real world and don't have, I mean, yes, they have the warrior transitions for the Army now, and they have similar type programs for active duty units as far as
but
transition.
They don't help at all.
They don't, especially when you got commands that don't enforce putting your soldiers through these things or your troops through this. Right. Because I've actually, especially being National Guard, I finished out my career as an M-Day National Guardsman 1 week in a month. And I never went through warrior transition. And the biggest thing is realizing there's problems. Because like I left my deployment unit and moved to a sister unit after I did 4 years as an instructor, an E6 instructor with the state of South Carolina. And it wasn't until I was in my position as an E6, as an instructor, that I went through our then yellow ribbon events where we did our post deployment stuff. So this is almost 4 or 5 years after our deployment, like we got home and everything. And it's like I, as a civilian, well, not a civilian, but as a non-active soldier in the Army, is when I realized I had survivor's guilt, because I got injured in Afghanistan. If those of you that listened to my episode, which was episode 2 towards the beginning, I had an impalement from being pinned between a Max Pro door and a concrete wall. I got sent home. I had the choice. And it took a month for me to decide, almost, after I was injured. And I couldn't move this hand. I still can't feel 2 fingers in my left hand. But I didn't realize that I had survivor's guilt until almost a decade later. That's where everything starts to show, is when the civilians see, oh, you're just an angry old vet.
I think that's what, so especially with the anger. So I didn't realize it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So my father, he did 26 years in my beloved Corps. Got out as a gunnery sergeant in 2005. And he has anger issues. Now, he was Desert Storm era. He didn't deploy to Desert Storm or during Desert Storm, but he was Desert Storm era. He did a whole bunch of MEUs. God, he did a number of MEUs. I don't think he saw land in his first 8 years.
Oh God.
Yeah, he was constantly gone. That by his choice, of course. But anyway, he had a lot of anger issues, and I remember getting out and asking him, now granted, this is a difference in generational. Is why do you have anger issues? You go, I've always been angry. Do you want to talk to somebody about it? No. Okay.
Because they feel vulnerable.
Yeah. And with survivor's guilt is a real thing. A lot of people don't think it is, or have a very big misconception of it. Because while in Afghanistan, the total number of 9 lines and everything that were called, we were out there. I'm not going to say it wasn't direct survivor's guilt. It was, and I didn't realize it until afterwards, until I was in college and studying some mental health ordeals, that there are many different ordeals to survivor's guilt, and it's you get angry with everything. Somebody just the whole depiction, and I'm not trying to call anybody out because it happens a lot, is when people call Marines soldiers. In all reality, does it really matter? It matters personally, yes. Yeah. But does it to the people that make that mistake, which is usually the more or less a lot of civilians? You think hindsight? Do you think they really know? They don't know. They dictate what the media says. But it's in the same principle, the anger that would fester in you for that.
Well, I mean, it's even like when they started using warrior companion as a bullshit thing that came off of a prank, but for the Army
Yeah.
or warriors. When they actually transitioned from soldier to warrior because of the gender equality thing that came out in the mid 2010s. I felt that kind of like
It was personal.
That's like, no, I'm a soldier.
And you'll see it hindsight. You'll definitely see it hindsight. Is the anger. You can talk to any vet. I don't care who. I don't care when. I don't, GWAT, Vietnam. I mean, definitely Vietnam. Gone. Desert Storm. You will definitely see the anger without realizing. You can go talk to them and get them on a subject that's passionate. Like if they, or if they're a farmer or whatever, and you get them talking about it. And you get them on a subject that they know they know a lot about. And watch how fast they can get pissed off if you say something incorrect about, something stupid. And there's a depiction with military and anger that is, I believe it needs to be severely studied. To why, there's even
it's a fight or flight response, honestly. Because
it is.
Because when I was looking into my own issues, I was never really an angry individual. I mean, hell, before I got I'm kind of telling on myself here, but before I got my E5, I was a pothead, for God's sakes. I mean, I was the chillest dude probably that you would ever meet. And then after I stopped that, of course, I picked up cigarettes and other alcohol, stuff like that, and to curb my self-perception of my anger, which obviously didn't help in the long run. Right. But I've noticed, especially now dealing with autistic children, realizing that I can't get angry all the time at shit that absolutely irritates the ever living dog crap out of me.
Right.
Like they know, because they know they messed up because of how they approach me. And I learned that psychological trick from the Army. It's like, you messed up when they messed up when they come at you a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just feel it building. I'm like, oh no, here we go again. And I just feel it festering.
So from the civilian side, right? I never served in the military. I've had many friends that have served in the military. I have a handful of friends that are still in the military, but I've also seen friends that have come out of the military angry as shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because the whole personality, the person themselves just changes. And if you ask why, they either they shut down, two, they freak out and they just tell you to leave it be. I've had a couple of friends that have actually opened up about it, but I believe that studies need to happen on soldiers in general in the military, just because you don't know what you're going through. I put this in perspective. I think a couple of episodes ago. You take a 21-year-old, you put them through boot camp or basic training, and then you throw them over into a war zone in Afghanistan. You expect them to do what you tell them to. You expect them to shut up. You expect them not to talk about anything. You expect them to just be there, right? And then they come back and they're completely discharged, in the sense that they got their honorable discharge. They're thrown back into civilian life with little to no support. Then they have the VA, and then that's a whole nother story. But my understanding of military and soldiers, and having to deal with friends and seeing the decline and the the suicidal tendencies, and you know, a lot of the stuff I have witnessed with my own life. You know, it's sad. It's truly sad that one of, I guess you call us, the greatest military powers can't even take care of our own, which is truly tremendously sad. And yeah, I just said that.
I feel called out because I joined the Marine Corps at 21. Went to boot camp.
See, I
Got
joined
thrown-
the Army at
Most-
17.
Most, so okay, so like I put it into this perspective. The statistic is
Right.
is 17 to 21 usually. If a child can get his parents to sign him in and he truly wants to join, they'll take him.
Oh yeah,
Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Hey, I'm
Here's
proof
some-
of it.
but
Here's your training.
the one thing with though and 17s, because we did when I was going through boot camp, we did have a 17-year-old. Is if your parents sign you up for it willingly and you want to go, and it's all, especially with the 17-year-old, it's like how schools do with your graduation age, like when you
Yeah.
can start school, it's that kind of ordeal. I mean, it's the same principle, but when they sign you up at 17, hindsight, in my mind now, you are a literal child. And then, me being 21, and I was just as old as my drill instructors. I'm, they look at me, I look at them, and there's that mutual. You know what? I'll leave you alone. You leave me alone, especially for today, just today, please.
I'll get you tomorrow.
Yeah, you'll get me tomorrow. But there's that. Looking at 17-year-old, I remember him because he was tall as shit. He was 6'6". String bean, like
Oh yeah, they
nothing
all
but a
are.
beanstalk.
They always are.
And looking back at him, I'm like, why? Looking back now, why? But you have to look at it if you look at it in a military stance. 17-year-old, you're at peak physical condition.
Mm-hmm.
That's like perfect soldier in a sense. The only thing is mentally, and being
And they're
in the
manipulatable.
Oh yeah, and being
Very
in the military,
manipulatable.
you being in the military, especially if you're infantry or along those MOSs, because all of them have variations for those that don't know. But those are the people you want because you can mold them and train them to exactly what you need. You get to that 21-year-old age, it can get difficult.
Mm-hmm. Especially when nowadays we've got 30, 40-year-olds that are going through boot camp.
Like, okay, so with that being said, we had two guys going through boot camp that were 28 years old. According to them, they needed a change. One got out for drunk and disorderly. He got dishonorable. And then another one is no longer with us. But, looking at the difference between the 17-year-old and the 28-year-old, I'd rather have been especially in hindsight, I'd rather been the 17-year-old. Because, yes, you can be molded, you can be manipulated. The thing is, though, is if you really look at it, at 17, 18 years old, when a lot of these kids join, especially nowadays, from poverty areas, rural areas,
yeah.
they have nothing. You are literally given everything. Your whole life is completely, your whole next 4 years is laid out. And I see why parents will sign a 17-year-old up. Especially if they're coming from like a poverty area or a rural area. I can't give my kid this, but this can. Or
your recruiter is like, as well telling the parents all the fun stuff, right? But and I know the Army has the delayed entry program,
Well, all
for
branches,
younger
all
All
branches,
branches do, yeah.
Oh yeah, all
I
bran-
didn't know if
yeah.
all of them did.
Yes, yes. I was part of it. The thing is though, is yeah, the recruiters. So it depends on the recruiter, because every recruiter is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
When I talked to my recruiter, he kind of tried to start feeding me things until I popped it off at the mouth, saying, "Well," I said, "Whatever you tell me, I'm going to turn around and reiterate to my dad." And he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, "Well, my dad just got out in 2005." Retired gunnery sergeant, did recruiting for 14 years. He was like, okay, well, I'll give it to you straight then. You know, if you know somebody, like if you're getting ready to go through boot camp or you're getting ready to sign up or you're considering it, your honest best bet is to talk to somebody that you know who is in or who has been in the military. Because a recruiter, yeah, they're going to try to sell you up. They're going to tell you all the fun stuff or what you can do and stuff like that. To be honest, recruiters are B-billet. For those that don't know, it's a secondary MOS. It's not your primary.
Yeah, if it's correct, the Marines have one of two options, either recruiting or drill instructor.
Drill instructor. There are a few different other options.
But those are the two primary that y'all
Those
have.
are the two primaries, yes. And not everybody becomes, a drill instructor because
That's a whole nother mental toll.
Well, so to become a drill instructor, you're going through boot camp as a Marine. Again.
Yeah.
Mentally, yeah, not everybody can take it. But those guys, they're in their schoolhouse for an X amount of months with no actual emphasis on who, what, when, where, why to say anything. They kind of go off their leadership when they get to wherever their unit is. And some of them, like when my drill, well, not my drill instructor, my recruiter, he was the only recruiter out of my area. There was a staff NCO above him and two counties over, but that was it. He had to kind of do everything on a whim, and he was an infantry guy. I was going into motor T, and he goes like, "What?" He was like, "You're just going to drive trucks. That's all I can tell you about your job." And he did that to every single one of us. There was one guy who was intel. He goes, "Yeah, you're going to be a smart person behind a computer. I can't tell you anything else." He goes, "Because I don't know."
Well, at least he was honest about that.
Yeah, he was. And that's the thing is, some of them are very blunt honest. And so it all, and looking, if I would have been able to reenlist, I actually probably would have been a drill instructor, more than likely.
Yeah, because it's after your first contract, then you got one of the two options.
No, well, it depends. With the Marine Corps, because I knew a lot of guys who were on their second enlistment and didn't recruiters or drill instructors, because it all depends on how many slots need to be filled.
Gotcha.
Because believe it or not, a lot of people want to become drill instructors.
It's the honor.
It's the honor. It's it's a steady thing. It's only the B-bill is only a 3-year ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 9 weeks? Is it 9 weeks that they go through basic?
For Marine Corps, it's 13 weeks.
13 weeks.
And it depends.
13 weeks.
Your standard army is 9 weeks of basic and not 18 weeks total.
Yeah. Because you got your AIT for the army.
Yeah. So it varies.
Yeah.
So for your 13 weeks, if you're DI, you're turning over however many are in the class, and that could be a huge accomplishment for individuals.
So the average platoon for boot camp is usually anywhere between 36 to 52 recruits. That's how much the barracks will actually fill. 52 is like the max, and that can kind of be pushing it.
What's the fail rate? What's the turnover?
So you cannot fail Marine Corps boot camp.
They won't let you.
They will not let you. So
that's good.
Well, the thing with the Marine Corps boot camp, and they'll tell you, is your fastest way is just go through it. You see a lot of people get held back on medical issues. There was one guy when I was in boot camp, his appendix busted in the middle of the night. Obviously, rush CER, you you're on meds. You're not on med sep, but you're on med hold until the doctors clear you, and then you pick up with another platoon. We had a guy, our first our first hike. It was only 3 miles, but we're carrying 50. Well, yeah, I think it was 50 pounds on our back. This kid, he was Vietnamese, real small, structured guy. He was right at 5 foot, and he weighed maybe 70 pounds soaking wet. He got held back because he couldn't finish the first hike. We found out toward the end of our boot camp that he was actually on the next platoon behind us to graduate, because we kind of worried about him a lot. But that's the way. You can't throw a fit. You can't say, "Hey, I want out." You can't do any of that. The fastest way to graduate, especially Marine Corps boot camp, is just to shut up and finish it. Literally, that mindset of just shut up, do what you're told. That's the fastest way out. And I imagine it's the same way for the Army, the Navy. I imagine it's the same way through every boot camp. Just shut up, do what you're told, and that's the fastest way out. Don't try to be a showboat. If you want to, go for it. That's when you're going to get kicked in the face a lot. Or if you're, granted, there are
Or hip
ship
tossed,
bags.
or hip
Yep.
tossed by a drill
Yep.
instructor or drill sergeant.
Did they have like feeling cards in the Army or something like that at basic back in the
That
early
that
2000s?
lasted all of maybe a month, one or two cycles in the Army, and it was more problems than it was
It made
worth.
national. It made
Yeah.
national news.
I remember hearing about that. That's the one thing the Marine Corps will never implement is emotional stress cards, because that's their job. That's the drill instructors. That's their whole purpose, is to cause emotional stress.
Distress.
And they will tell you the reason. That's the thing. The one thing I have to say, I will have to give. Now, granted, I am a Marine, so I am, I guess, in a sense, biased.
You love crowns. It's okay.
Is they will tell you straight out, they cause you emotional stress, because in a combat zone, if you are in a firefight or whatever, and everything's flying, you have to focus. And they train you that in boot camp, coming straight out
Psychological.
psychological. They teach you psychological warfare coming straight out of boot camp. And it does cause mental stress. It does cause anger. It does cause, because I know coming out of boot camp, I was motivated. I was go get some everything. Nobody can fuck with me, kind of shit.
I'm the best damn Marine that's out there.
I'm the best. Yeah. And then you kind of realize later on, like, maybe not so much. But but going back to the B billets, you don't have to, because the waiting list for drill instructor is actually extremely long, because a lot of people put their names on it, and it's a different toll. But the anger issues, you can definitely tell there. I know the TV show Boots that just came out.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing stuff about that.
It's a very good show. Granted, they have admitted that a lot of stuff is exaggerated.
Or is it?
No, it is. I can tell you it is, because the time frame that it's taking place. So in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
If you look at any kind of military history, about the 90s is when Mothers of America started stepping up. For those who don't know, Mothers of America is one reason that actually Marines, or actually any recruit or soldier or whatever, can't get punched in the face by a drill instructor anymore. They're kind of one of the reasons. But it's the show. It actually partakes really well on the mentality of kind of being that outsider in boot camp, because a lot of people, they feel like that. A lot of people in boot camp, they feel kind of like they're outside. Like, I got to look out for me. You know, this is my battle or whatever, or my bunk mate or whatever. But in all reality, you got to look out for you because you're going to be the one that gets fucked up in the end. But yeah, it very good show. I do recommend it. So, but there's always a lot of angers and mental stipulations coming out of boot camp from every branch, from what I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, it's actually really good to hear, firsthand experience like you're sharing, about that. So question 2 is go ahead and give us your gaming journey and how did it start and what was the first game you played and was it Duck Duck? The duck game?
Actually, one of them was Duck Duck.
That was mine. That's why I said that.
One of them was Duck Duck.
The damn dog.
And then
that's anger issues in itself.
Yeah. Let's see. Duck Duck, Super Mario, SNES is where a lot of it started. I didn't really, and I played a lot of those games. I was never really good at those games, and I'll admit that. Just because I was, as a kid, I was a lot of outside.
Well, we were 80s babies, of course.
Well, single mom.
Yeah, that.
She worked all the time, so I stayed outside because I could, not because I wanted to. It's because I could play with the dog, play with neighbors, whatever. I really didn't start getting into video games until about high school. Like really into them. Need for Speed Underground 2.
Oh.
Yeah, the game that I got, if they would do a remaster of it, would be amazing. But those kind of games, what was it? Not Left 4 Dead. It was Silent Hills because my buddy had a PlayStation. I played those. Played a lot of the wrestling games with a buddy of mine.
Backyard wrestling.
Actually, we did that physically.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you on that one.
Everybody did.
Yeah,
when those games came out.
Trampolines and chairs.
Oh, we did 2x4s, plywood. Oh, yeah. Like we didn't go horribly, but we knew what we were doing somehow. I really started picking up in the storyline game about that time frame. I'm trying to remember what's the Fables really got me.
Oh,
new one's coming out.
I know, but the Fables really got me. I'm trying to remember a lot. Halo. I mean,
all right.
You can all you want. Look, Halo is. So I remember playing the first Halo. I was about in middle school with a buddy of mine. We played, a lot of the LAN games, LAN parties. But it wasn't until high school when Halo 2 came out. I went back and played Halo 1 and really paid attention to the story. And I was like, oh, that's what I missed playing. Because everybody wanted to play co-op, and that was before co-op was a thing really in Halo. And, it was just, hunting each other, killing each other, whatnot. But I started really getting to the storylines. And I was like, oh, wow. That brings Halo to me up until the most recent 6. Granted, I wasn't a big fan of 5 and 6, and I'll honestly admit that. I love the stories, great stories. But I had tears in my eyes on 4 at the end of it. And I'll admit it. And then for the Halo show, we watched the first season. And when they brought on Cortana, I had a tear come to my eye then because I was like, they did so good with Cortana. Fucked up the story entirely. But the way they
implemented her.
Arbitrated Cortana compared to the first game. Just about spot on. But no, that's when I developed a lot into the storyline games. I wanted to play longer games, stuff like that. And then in Afghanistan, a lot of Halo. I got into my first MMO set, more or less, was Diablo 3.
Diablo 3.
I'm trying to remember 2011.
I don't think Diablo 3 was out in
I
2011.
don't remember what Diablo was. I know we
I think
played
you
it.
probably were playing Diablo 2 or Diablo 1.
I can't remember. It's been a hot minute. I've slept since then.
It's all right.
But we played like a little LAN with Diablo games, and I was like, oh, okay, you know. And of course, I got dubbed the bonk. Everybody else like knew what the hell they were doing. I had no clue, so I was the bonk.
Diablo 3 was around 2012.
Okay, so
2012. Okay, so wow, it's been around that long.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, as a kid, you know, I Roller Coaster Tycoon happened to be one of my favorite games. The backyard baseball and football.
Oh
those
yeah,
kind of games. Yeah, with Pablo. Pablo was like everybody's go-to.
yeah.
He was like the overpowered character. But no, it really got. I really started really enjoying the storylines when I got to high school, when I was able to comprehend the complexity of the stories. And then it kind of progressed from there. I did play a lot of Black Ops 2 and stuff like that while in the military. We had like our own version of LAN parties. Like we would hike up in a barracks room, and you're talking about 7 monitors, 6 or 7 consoles, and beer and whatever's going around. We would order pizza and whatnot, and we're just all in there in the same room talking in game chat. So obviously the horrible echo and just having fun. I mean, those were great times.
On ship and container mat.
Yeah, that was one of them. And then got out of the military. And then I started playing the Arkham games.
Oh, okay.
It got really back into my storylines, and I was like, I'm a major Batman fan. Always have been. My stepmom, who's been in my life forever, pretty much my other mother, could never depict when I was a kid if it was Ninja Turtles that year or Batman that year. Like that was always my two. But I'm a major Batman fan, DC Comics fan. Of course, granted, I love Batman, but Dick Grayson is my go-to. Nightwing. But got into the Arkham series and really, really loved the Arkham series. All 4 games.
They're making another.
Yeah, I heard rumors. But I was not very happy with the storylines in Gotham Knights, and the Suicide Squad. I was not very happy with them.
Yes, I played Suicide Squad, and I was unimpressed with the quality of it, especially after Arkham Asylum came out, and the Bane battle on top of the building near the bridge. Yes. That was, to me, chef's kiss, because that brought in the comic book Bane back into the games.
And like with the Arkham series, they've developed a lot of the characters that people really didn't know about, especially in Arkham. I think it was Arkham City. When they had the DLC where you can go fight Mad Hatter, you can go fight, all the pig, you can go, you combat all these other characters that nobody knew of.
But wasn't that also when Arkham City, was it when they implemented more of the Scarecrow's backstory?
Yes, that was when and granted, I know quite a bit about the DC Comics and the complexity with a lot of those characters, especially the backstories and their history with said Batman. Those really showed during the Arkham series. When Rockstar developed those games, the publishers, the writers, stuff like that, they had to have been definitely with the New 52 when that series was out, that comic series. They had to have really gone into major depth with that to develop that much into it. You're talking years of research on those comics. To be able to do those kind of complexities with those stories, especially Scarecrow's background, because he's one of the primary antagonists throughout the whole series. Especially, of course,
even in the animated series, outside of Joker, Scarecrow has been one of the
Yeah.
more prominence that
Right.
hasn't been divulged upon as far as his true backstory.
No, and there's always, and the one thing like with Gotham, the
Hmm.
show Gotham,
I couldn't get into it.
if you more focus on the Riddler and the Penguin characters, you can really get into it.
Okay.
Because the guy I can't remember his name, the actor's name, but the guy that played the Riddler is the perfect depiction of what the Riddler's whole mentality actually is. Like he has a split personality disorder, and with that being said, he is by God the Riddler. Like his character, his persona, the way he did it is the Riddler.
Well, I mean, you gotta give it to Jim Carrey. He did give the true comic style Riddler
Right.
persona,
So
but you're saying more as the DC realism that they've been bringing out lately.
So if you look at it, this is where I guess with a lot of DC it gets complexed, is when it goes into the multiverse. I need to move away from that.
Yeah.
I can go into that
all right. So actually, let's do this. So let's go into gaming and mental health combination here. How do you think, or in your personal opinion, let's put it this way. So let's go from your unique perspective. What benefits can someone struggling with mental health gain or possibly regain from gaming? Now, it doesn't have to be video games, but like board games, MMOs, D&D type stuff. What benefits come from mental health?
One thing, especially if you want to go into the conversation of board games, physical games, like D&D and tabletop games, is socialization. That's one major thing. When people are playing video games, especially in a physical setting, people will open up about different subjects and topics, stuff that's bothering them, and not think about it. They'll just naturally open up.
Yeah, it does.
I've seen it. I want to play. My wife and I both want to play D&D. We've never played it before. But I have seen, or I've heard friends of mine talk, very close friends, talk about their D&D parties and how much better they felt afterwards. And I was like, well, hold on, you're playing a character. And they go, yeah, but not so much. And they would explain, this situation was going on and they felt comfortable talking about that. But it was like, with people they didn't even know, it's in the same sense. If you look at D&D like a squad, like a military squad, bunch of random people thrown together, and you look at it at that aspect, they're all on a specific mission, which most squads are. They have specific tasks they have to go through, in a sense, get information from towns or whatever, dialogues. Like if you look at it like that, you go, holy shit, this D&D group is the same principle, same aspect as a military squad. But you open up to your squad. You will open up the D&D people the same principle, same way. While I was in, if like Halo 2 was taken up or whatever, I went and played Bones. For those who don't know what Bones are, it's dominoes with an older master sergeant, a gunny, and a sergeant, all by 2 ranks or higher than me because I was a Lance Corporal at the time. I was the only white guy in the group at the time. Keep that in mind. Because, I wanted to learn how to play. And my master sergeant knows how to play. My sergeant knows how to play. My gunny knows how to play. We would sit there and play for hours. Wouldn't talk about work. We just talk shit. And
well, that's what you do with Bones, man. You talk shit.
The thing is,
in spades.
In my mind, when I first started playing, it was minding P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Because you were a little bitty Lance Corporal playing with a sergeant who's my superior, playing with a gunny who's my superior, and playing with a mass sergeant he's my superior. So an E5, an E7, and an E8. I'm an E3. You know, obviously you got to worry about, I'm not going to say fraternization, but you got to worry about, you know, in your mind, you think about different things. And it's when I sat down and my master sergeant noticed I was a little nervous to play with him. He goes, look, I don't care. He goes, we're off clock technically, and we're the only ones here. I don't care. Okay. You know, it's still in your back of your mind. You're still, yes, master sergeant, no master sergeant.
Yeah.
Yes, sergeant, no sergeant. You're still going to do those, but it's the smile that comes to your face, even after you've been in the shit or you were out on some bad environments or whatnot.
Here we're equal.
Yeah, here we're equal. Even though you outrank me by whatever, we're equal. We're just talking. Kind of like if you think about the open door policy for a lot of places, people that actually utilize the open door policy
The right way.
In a corporate world, you know, it's we're equal. You know, let's talk. I did the same thing with spades. I mean, if you think of the physical, you will open up about just things. Like I remember on deployment, something happened at home, back home while we, and it bothered me. And my master sergeant knew it bothered. Remembering it now, I remember there being an issue, but I can't remember what the hell it was. Obviously, it was stupid because obviously it's not worth remembering. But you know, my master sergeant, he goes, "What's wrong?" And I just started talking about it. You know, it wasn't his place to ask me that. If you think about it in a military standpoint, it was supposed to be my corporal. Well, we were on different ships. I was just because I was a smart lance corporal, I guess, or whatever. I don't remember. But you know, or my sergeant. You know, what's wrong? So we sit down. We weren't even. We just got done dealing him out, and he was like, "What's wrong? Something's off." And I just started talking about it, and we had a conversation about it. And over time, we realized that, you know, it was stupid for me to worry about it, but it bothered me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, it was one of those things. And it's just like going into, so if you think going from like the physical games, then you go into LAN parties, like the old LAN parties, not this where you have to be online. I'm talking about the old, you know, Ethernet wired up LAN parties.
Yeah.
Same principle. You're with your buddies most of the time. It's the
20
same
to 30
people.
people,
Yeah, 20, 30 people
all sweating
in the same room.
Smell all the
Yep.
smells. Yeah.
Electric bills going up $1,000. It's still your buddies. You're still talking. You know, something's bothering you. You can talk about it. You go into the newer games, you know, as an older adult or elder millennial, whatever. You know, I can come on Discord or play a game with somebody and just talk. And the mentality of that is my blood pressure will go down, my anxiety will go down, my anger issue, unless it's anger with the game, is pretty much obsolete.
Yeah.
It's the amount of mental health breaks you will get playing a video game with your buddies or just somebody who's playing in the game with you, that will talk and it's not toxic, because it is the
Well,
internet.
shit. Last night, I mean, we do our Battlefield nights on Saturdays, and I think we had Asian and
Nav.
It
was me.
and
It was me, Mark.
Asian was talking shit the whole time to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that is the most he's talked in a long time, like other than our
It's
generic
awesome.
rambling.
Right.
But yeah, and I
Yeah.
was gonna say it's like
But you can let that out. You know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can be bottling something up and talk shit in a video game, and you let it out unknowingly.
mhm.
I was
That's just-
shooting people with RPGs, so that's why.
That's just like, you know, going to like a rage room. Same principle. Like take for instance, Black Ops 2 game, you know, party chats.
Mhm.
when you had the squeakers and you
Or-
had everything, and everybody
Or
just
Modern
talked.
Warfare.
Yeah,
Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 from the early
everybody
2000s.
just let the fuck off. Everybody's talking shit.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's talking shit. If you look at, besides obviously the children at the time, because they really didn't have any kind of shit to talk.
They
really
still
didn't.
don't. They still none of them are good at shit talking anymore.
But if you look at it the way you look at mental
That's
health
funny.
and letting out anger
Mm-hmm.
or rage or stress, talking shit will do that. I'm not saying go out there and be toxic,
Yeah.
but if you're talking
Go
shit to
teabag
your
somebody.
if you're talking shit to your friends and they know you're talking shit just to talk shit, but it's making you feel better, okay, I get it. I'm not one from talking shit. I'm more one of I'm gonna sit there and be quiet and try to figure out where the hell you are. If I could play
Asian made me feel so good. After his shit talking, it gave me so much pride, and I kept shooting people in the face.
If I could play FPS games, for those that don't know, FPS games are first person shooter games. I could probably go in there and talk a lot of shit. But I sadly I can't. I'm not one of those people that can go on there and play it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those mentalities that where people go on there, they relieve stress, they relieve anxiety, talking shit. And is it always called for or wanted or needed? No. But can it be merited? Yeah. Depends on what that person's going through. That's why,
As long as you read the room.
Yeah, read the
as
room.
long as you read the room.
Yeah. But no, you and with the newer days, you can go in there and just talk, and you will feel like it doesn't even have to be in general. Like I know, my wife and I, we play with a group of friends of ours, and when Repo first came out, we really didn't have a lot of good laughs in a lot of games, and we played Repo, and the amount of stupidity and laughter that came out of it, the amount of stress and weight off your shoulder from doing that much laughing or whatnot is tremendous.
Yeah.
So we have I'm gonna throw Stalker out here. So the way I was introduced to Stalker was through his brother, Bo Money. I met Bo Money and our friend Seraphim Spectre. Granted, I've never physically met these guys. We've been gaming all together for over a little more than 10 years.
Okay.
I met Seraphim Spectre before the first season of Fortnite came out.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's back when everything on Fortnite was still free and they had the story mode for free.
We played Ark, Survival Evolved together. The more you get to know me, the more you know my wife and I like dinosaurs as well as DC Comics. Almost on the same intellectual aspect. She knows more, but same intellectual aspect. We played Ark, and we played Ark together. And then I played Rocket League with Bo because Bo at the time was a grand champ, and I was still learning. Learned a lot from Bo, and Bo is Stalker's brother. And we just collabed, and we will play dumb horror games together. We played Devour, we played In Silence, we played those kind of games when Phasmo first came out. Oh, we were all about Phasmo. But we'll go on there and it's not the fact that we're trying to take the game serious. Yeah, we're trying to accomplish whatever objective, but we're stupid together. Just stupid. And it's funny. And then I got introduced to Stalker, and it's the same aspect. We will do we would just do stupid shit together. And like going with that is the fact of laughter is just as much intoxicating as the shit talking.
Yeah, because like we were playing with Nav and Asian a few days ago, and Nav jumped back in, was redeployed during the Red Sec on Battlefield, and he got hit by one of the airstrike call-ins by a jet and immediately flung and died, of course, but flung across the map.
The ragdoll.
Yeah, he ragdolled. I was like, oh my God. Like everybody saw
You're
that.
not healing me there.
It's like,
That's just like
holy
GTA. If you've never experienced GTA ragdolls,
yeah.
same principle.
I couldn't stop laughing for like 5 minutes when I saw that.
There's some funny shit that has happened in Battlefield 6. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
The new Red Sec is just even.
I wish I could watch
it's
it.
crazy.
I wish I could watch it. One of my disabilities, or I'm not going to say disability, one of my limitations,
Mm-hmm.
triggers more or less,
Yeah.
is desert sceneries, especially open desert. I can't. I start going into not really panic attacks, but I'll start having flashbacks and then go into panic attacks. But we found that out the hard way.
Can you watch it when it's like modern?
When we first got out, and it was or when I first got out, one of the first films I watched right after I got out was Lone Soldier. So we were living in the Appalachian Mountains at the time. I think it was about February when I watched it. I was outside in shorts and a t-shirt, no shoes on, and about almost 3 feet of snow, just standing there. I had no idea I went out there. Had no idea why I was out there. I just went out there and stood and stared off into the black abyss for about, I think my wife said like almost an hour.
Shit.
Yeah. No clue. No, I don't even know what part of the movie I went out there and walked out there in. So yeah, we found that out luckily very soon after I got out. So we, and anything like Battlefield or stuff like that, like games I would love to play with everybody.
Yeah.
I really would. And movies I would love to watch and whatever. So, luckily my wife is there for me and will kind of not really mommy me, but screen the movies or screen it to see, you know, what it has in it. And she goes, hey, sadly, you can't watch it. I'm like, well, shit, I'll just read the reviews and listen to everybody else talk about it, but I can't actually experience it myself.
That sucks.
It does. And I'm not the only one like that.
It sucks, but it's also good that you know your triggers and you know when not to interact, which is good.
Yes. However, I will listen to the laughter and everything else while everybody plays Battlefield. I just can't watch it.
So it looks like your gaming journey, you know, it's been very, very beneficial to your mental health. So now let's go ahead and scooch on into combat tested gaming, which is CTG. So how did you become a part of it? And how did you get to where you're at right now?
Both very interesting questions. So I actually heard about CTG and I think right when it was introduced in 23. And I was part of a physical post at the time. And I was like, hey, you know what? We should probably get into this. I was telling my post members because they were like, oh, well, we want to stream. We want to do all this. Well, we did a charity stream for Wounded Warrior Project. And the guy that was supposed to be doing it did the one stream for Wounded Warrior Project and never streamed again. My wife and I, we've been around the whole gaming and streaming thing for quite a while. She's been a moderator for some pretty large names. I'm not going to just throw them out here, but she's done a lot and we've been around the whole environment for quite some time. And I was like, okay, well, this is how you got to do this, XYZ. You know, you can't just do one stream and then try to hand it off somebody else.
Yeah.
And then that's when I first heard about it, and I never really thought anything of it. I was like, oh, they're probably doing good. And then fast forward, we left our physical post and joined CTG, and I said, hey, you know, I have experience in, because I started watching their Twitch, and I was like, well, where's your stuff? You know, you guys don't have really an about me. You guys don't have, you know, your website up. I mean, where's your stuff? And they were like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I said, look, where's your about me? Where's your overlays? Where's your
digital footprint?
Where's your digital footprints? And they were like, well, we don't really know anything about it. And I was
The
like,
most important thing.
right. And I was like, well, I said, I can help you. And it was Jumpmaster RT at the time. I was like, you tell me where you want me to help you, and I will help you. And he was like, okay. So he talked to Lynn, and they brought me on as a streamer because I was streaming at the time. And I helped them set up the back door to their Twitch. I helped them get all their overlays, their widgets set up. I helped them get their about me, their synchronization set up, and kind of going from there. And I started helping with their social media, starting getting their social media all set up. All they had was a Facebook. I was like, well, let's grow this. And they go, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you got Twitter, you got Blue Sky, you got Instagram, you got TikTok, I said, you have all these other ones that you're not utilizing. You need to utilize. So we got those up and running. And then we started doing shorts and little clips. And I was like, okay, you know, what next? And then we got into the whole YouTube, where we were pretty much downloading the VODs before Twitch put the limitation on them. So I was able to go back to the beginning, do their VODs, and, you know, kind of not really edit it, but kind of tweak it, you know, where the audio is at least decent. Video qualities, I mean, it is what it is, but, you know, kind of get those kind of going, put their intro and outro music with it. And then we started doing, I did a 2024 highlights, which was a lot of clips and stuff like that people put on there. And then they were like, oh, well, we love that. You know, can we do another one? So then I started doing it monthly. And then it got about, you know, all the 2024, and then we started doing 2025. And then I think it was up until like May, June, something like that. Well, people stopped putting up clips. So you can't do anything without clips or whatnot. So it kind of went under. But it was a nice little aspect. So I was helping on the editorial side with it too. And then some issues happened. Jump left, and Lynn goes, hey, you know a lot about this, and you've been doing a lot of work. Do you want to do this? Could you help me out? And I told him straight out, I said, you know, with the moderators and stuff like that, I said, I won't do it without their approval. I am that kind of person. I will not just jump on it and somebody get upset about it. I said, I'll take it, or I'll do the job only if your moderators and your other staff that's been helping agree. And so we had a meeting, they agreed, and that's kind of where I am now as far as the position I am at. I'm still doing all those things. I just have a more or less a fancier title.
So you're pretty much providing the direction of CTG along with Lynn?
I wouldn't say I'm providing the direction. I say, so with the direction of CTG, it is and always will be what the VFW deems it as. However, the stipulation with CTG that a lot of people are still, I guess, more or less kind of like how Troa is. They're breaking a stigma. If you look at the way people view the VFW, the physical VFW, a lot of people view it as a bar.
Bingo
or
and bar.
a place
That's true.
where old people go to hang out. Like stereotypically old people. You don't find, it's very rare you will find millennials hanging out in a bar in the VFW. Very, very rare. The reason I harp on that is because the town I grew up in that had a VFW, that's exactly what it was known for. It was just a bar. Everybody and their mother could go in there. And, that's what I knew it as growing up. And getting out of the military and stuff like that. And people were like, hey, let's. I remember the one time I went after I got out. A buddy of mine was like, hey, let's go to VFW. I was like, okay. And I looked at my buddy. I said, you realize I'm probably the only vet in here out of probably a building at least 50 people were in. I said, I guarantee you I'm probably the only vet in here. And the thing is, I knew some of the people in there. And I was like, yeah, especially the older ones. I was like, yeah, you guys have never done anything besides farm, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, But so that's the one thing that CTG is doing is we're trying to break a lot of stigmas.
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with Lynn about, the goals of CTG and all that.
So as far as like direction goes, I'm not going to say I'm guiding because I'm more on the back end of a lot of things. Our recent affiliations with Ranger Up Coffee, Streamlabs, G Fuel, that stuff does take some work to get into, but it's, why haven't we, and granted, I asked Lynn myself, why haven't we reached out to these people? Oh, well, nobody's done it. Okay. I'll do it. Gotcha. So, start reaching out, talking to you guys for the first time. God, we were what, talking 5 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Almost as long as I talked to Randall for the first time that I met.
We were going on 6 hours when the first time I met Mark. It was a 6-hour conversation that ended up happening.
And I had an hour to drive to work the next morning, and I got I think 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is, with CTG, a lot of it is breaking those stigmas on how video, because so here's a very short story with the VFW. So when I was with the Physical Post and we did the gaming thing, and we raised with Wounded Warrior Project, we raised $800. No, I mean, granted, it's not an amazing amount, it's not a lot, but hell, we did something.
That's a console.
That's that's to us, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, we brought it up at a post meeting, and people were like, "Why? What in the hell? What, that did nothing for us? Video games don't do anything. They just, they're just a waste of money and time." Now, granted, these are, let alone the Desert Storm and Vietnam Vets, these are also auxiliary at the time. This went to this whole spiel about how it was an auxiliary from a different post. Yeah, a different post auxiliary member. How they didn't want children anywhere in the building. The VFW is meant for veterans and the community, which includes children.
Yeah.
So
and that brought
CTG made too.
Yeah, and that brought on a whole spiel in itself on the Physical Post. But it was there. and looking back on it, it's like, you know what? The things I probably could have said, but I didn't because I didn't want to dwell myself into that low of a standard of people. Because obviously those individuals didn't understand or don't understand what the VFW is actually meant for. Because the VFW is a great program. It's a very powerful program if it's utilized correctly. But it's a very strong program that can be done for veterans and the community. And that's kind of what, in a sense, what CTG is doing. The difference between CTG and the VFW is, for one, there are veterans in CTG that are not from the US. That's one major thing. And the one thing with CTG and another stipulation is we're not all not I am. I'll admit that I'm a combat vet, but not all the veterans in CTG are combat vets, let alone are they VFW members. They don't even have to be associated with an affiliation of a veteran organization. They just got to be a vet and show proof. That's it. Same thing with auxiliary members. As auxiliary members for us is just immediate family of the vet, spouse, children, whatever, as long as they're over the age of 18. And we just put in the supporter role because there are supporters that after talking to Lynn that wanted to come in that are not veterans, that are not associated with veterans or veteran organizations. They just want to support CTG. So we're like, okay, we'll start bringing them in. And we're on so much of a virtual level that, we can do so many empowering things. If you take a look at what Regiment is doing, their Regiment has done. Yes, they go to a lot of events, stuff like that. They all started out virtual. Just like you guys are starting out the virtual, and then it becomes physical. But you got to have that virtual backbone, all that leadway, all that structure to go further. And with us, we have state chairmen. State chairmen are responsible for divulging between what's going on in CTG and to their state commanders.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, this is what's going on. We need to hop on this. Over 86% of the states US wide don't want anything to do with CTG because it's virtual.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like when we first implemented our partnership, or having talks with Lynn and then Jumpmaster about our partnership, is one of my personal goals, because this was prior to me joining the VFW. I'm actually going to have my first business meeting this coming Tuesday with my local post.
Congratulations.
But yeah, I became a life member. I went ahead and paid out, got my life card and everything, and I'm going to be attending. But one of my personal goals with this partnership is to help that stigma of the pre-GWATs and get our generation in these posts, because that's the only way it's going to survive. That's the only way that this legislative idea for veteran advocacy is going to be able to move forward in the coming decades, is bringing in those younger groups without destroying what's already there.
Yes. And the one thing that hindsight that a lot of people don't realize is you have to break that stigma. You have to, or else, sadly, as sad as what it is to say, VFWs will not survive.
No.
And the thing is, and I've talked to Lynn about this, and what it is, and it's kind of a repetitive thing. If you look at it throughout history in general, people are scared of change.
Yeah, development.
People are. It's even more scary on what people can do without having to do anything physical. Yeah. Like, I'm not talking about like hackers. I'm not talking about AI. I'm just talking about like us conversating here tonight.
We're all in different states.
all in different states, all across the U.S. That used to back in rotary phones. One person can be on a rotary phone at a time. Now it's like we can have a conversation between 70, 80, a couple thousand people in here tonight.
We could broadcast to tens of millions of
Send
people.
you a message.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's technology. And the thing is a lot of these older generations are scared of technology because it's not the fact that, everybody right now is going after AI. Here's the stigma with AI. AI is very powerful when used correctly. Just like AI is also very funny when used incorrectly, because you can tell the difference. AI can be so beneficial to a lot of things. If you think of, uh, you need an outline for something, but you can't put it to words.
yeah.
AI can help you put it to words, or
Or they can bring out the articulation of what's in your brain.
Or if you need, like, if you're a game developer and you're trying to develop a car or something simple and you've done it to an extent, but you're having trouble, AI can help you finish it. They can put in the code, AI can put in the code to help you finish your project. AI is very, very beneficial. Thing
I
is,
use
though,
AI for a lot of stuff.
well, and
He's
Austin
named
is
it.
Scared.
He's named it.
It's called Jeff. And so Jeff, he's our executive assistant right now, and he's very useful when it comes to
Exactly.
reviewing things.
But that's the thing is a lot of people are so scared of technology on what they think it can do.
Mm-hmm.
We have yet to scratch the surface on what technology really can do.
Yeah.
And OpenAI 5 just is announcing that it is a self-learning. So it is now.
And that's when it
actually
becomes
learning
scary.
when you
That's
talk
when we
to
got to
it.
worry about Skynet.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a whole YouTube series on this. But anyway,
yeah.
let
Talk to your fellow Marine, Gamble Austin.
yeah.
He's so scared of it, but he just sent me a message today saying that he's going to be taking an AI class, learning about business and automations on how to use AI properly.
And that's with change. So going with change, breaking that stigma too.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but when it comes to like VFWs and stuff like that, if people don't progress with the times,
It'll be left back just like Blockbuster.
yes, it will go under.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, though, is VFW National will always be there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going nowhere.
They've had the biggest change they've ever done this year.
Yes.
Female.
Yes. Carol Whitmore. Yes. Our
Yeah.
commander in chief. And she loves CTG, apparently. Like she's
She's
all
in
for
your
CTG.
Discord.
Yeah, I know. Don't tell everybody. But
You just did.
And Lynn did anyway, so
yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is if you look at the small posts,
mm-hmm.
the rural areas, stuff like that, if they don't change, they're going to go under.
They'll go under.
And if it's not because of financial stipulations or lack of participation, it's going to be because the members die off.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, that's going to be one of my big pushing factors probably in the next few months as I get into my local post, trying to start with them and then move out in South Carolina.
I'm going to warn you, prepare for pushback.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I was an E7 when I retired earlier this year. I understand pushback, and trust me, I can push right back too. But let's segue into the final question, and probably the most one-sided question. Oh, what you got, Mark?
It's important.
Yeah. But it is important, especially to new vets and old vets alike, that don't necessarily know the inner workings. And that's one of the things that I always want to put that emphasis on, especially being that this is a lot to do with vets as their only mode or means of treatment and help. right now is the VA, Veteran Affairs. And it has got, you've got the good, the bad, and absolutely the ugly from every single veteran that's ever had to deal with it medically or benefits wise.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of accumulating everything into one final question to answer as your experience with the VA, good, bad, and ugly. But let's end with the benefits that you have experienced with it.
So good, bad, and ugly. So it took me 10 years to get all my stuff sorted. That's bad.
Yes.
The hardest part for me, because I'm in a rural area, before precursor 2020, there really wasn't community care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
it
really
wasn't
since COVID. It was COVID that kind of brought that out of them.
It kind of pushed that hard. There really wasn't community care. So when I would have to go to like a VA appointment, I had to drive 2.5 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at that time I was still so angry, you know, I wasn't on any kind of medications. Blood pressure was, my average blood pressure was 200 over 95. That was my resting blood pressure. Like stupid high for somebody in their late 20s, early 30s. You know, VA didn't do anything. They didn't care. Finally, I kind of tried to stay away during my early years because I was talking to my dad, and my dad would say, you know, screw the VA, you know, whatever. And I was like, okay. You know, I didn't think anything of it. It wasn't until I didn't really start using the VA until I started going to college. And so I started going to college actually in 2015 is when I started using the GI Bill and the VBA.
Wait, VBA, what's that?
Not VBA. If you wouldn't have asked. So it's a
Bible Association.
No, it's a year-long program that it's through the state for veterans that it pays for up to 1 year's tuition.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking. I think I know it. Yeah.
I can't think of the actual terminology for it.
Yeah, it's another thing that's separate but similar to the GI
Veterans
Bill.
Benefit Administration.
Yes,
Yeah. It's essentially a grant for vets to assist with.
I asked Jeff.
It pays for 1 year.
Yeah.
Well, or depending if you are a trade school, it'll pay for your actual whole trade school.
Yeah.
That's like when I started using the VA. You know, that's when I put that stuff into retrograde. And then I graduated college in 2019. And then I went to work with the state, with the state I live in. And I was the veterans employment rep. So I was helping veterans find jobs. That was my whole purpose. When I got hired on, my boss happened to be an Army vet. He was a paratrooper. And he was talking about going, you know, he had all these VA appointments and stuff like that. And I'm like, why? He goes, why not? He goes, it's free healthcare. I was like, oh, well, yeah. So he's like, why don't you, he goes, when's the last time we talked to a VSO? I was like, I don't know, 2015. He goes, no, I'm going to give you somebody, you need to go talk to him. So I did. I went and talked to a VSO in a different county because the one in my county never answered his phone. Or was ever at his office, or was remotely anywhere near the building, or for all I know, probably wasn't even alive. Probably still isn't. I don't know. Apparently he's still the same.
So what's
VSO.
a VSO?
Veteran Service Officer. Usually there's several different versions of them. They're either appointed through like an organization like the VFW or DAV, Disabled Veterans of America, or they're through the county or state, depending. Some of them are federal. There's several different versions of them. Anyway, So went and talked to a VSO, and she was like, "You are all kinds of fucked up. Why haven't you come sooner?" I was like, okay." She goes, so she put in the paperwork for me to go get all checked out. Um, it took about a year process to go get all checked out, mentally, physically, numerous doctor's appointments, and that's when community care saved my bank account. They were like, "Hey, you can go to this doctor, you can go get it checked out locally, whatever." Um, because trying to drive that 2.5 hours back and forth, would that's gas.
Well, plus, if any medical facilities are like the one that I deal with here in South Carolina, Dorn VA, it is still using MS-DOS as their programming systems.
I don't
Hell yeah.
know I don't know what they're using, to be frank.
But they're old as shit, and they act like it.
I know the VA. I know this just because my wife works at the VA in Indianapolis, and I know some of the IT people. They are still on mainframe for a lot of the stuff that they do.
Ugh.
Well, after talking to the VSO and going through a year's worth of appointments, we yeah, I wasn't expecting anything. Not even gonna lie, I wasn't expecting a single thing. Come to find out, they were like, "Hey, you are broken," and I was like, "Well, tell me something I didn't know."
Right.
All vets think they're broken. I promise you. But they're like, "No, you're 100%." They go, "You have so much trauma and everything else. You are 100%." And I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" It's one thing to know you're broken. And I'm using broken loosely.
Mhm.
But it's, if somebody tells you, you're 100% disabled, okay, well, what does that mean to me? Because that's just like, you know, a title to me. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Mhm.
And they were like, "No, you have so many issues that it's going to take you years to get it sorted and figured out." I was like, again, what does that mean to me? Because at the time I was working full time and whatnot. What does that do? And they go, "Well, first off, you're going to be put on temporary TDIU because you have all these appointments. TDIU is where you cannot work, period.
Mhm.
But you are going to be 100% permanent and total."
Yeah.
Okay. So they put in the paperwork and I had to give it to the state. And they were like, "Well, you can't work." And trust me, the state was not happy with that. They were all kinds of pissed off.
Because they got to pay you now.
Yep. So TDIU went through numerous appointments. Things that should have been done years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking because like I said, it took me damn near a decade. Things that should have been done when I first got out. Ligament tests, cartilage tests, mental, obviously mental scans, all kinds of things. Like I don't have like any cartilage in my knees, my shoulders, my lower back, my lower lumbar. I don't have any cartilage in it. It's stuff I didn't think about. It's not stuff that you would normally question. And that's just like with the most recent, like this year, I've had three surgeries. I had 9 lipomas removed, dental surgery. I don't recommend if you get it or if you have to get it.
Yeah.
But things that should have been done a long time ago. But it took a good VSO to say, "Hey, no, you need to go and talk to these people." And then it took because I had a primary care doctor when I worked with the state, and when she got all the paperwork, she was like, "Yeah, we're getting all these appointments done now." the majority of them she could do, she did them there, like
Mhm.
within a day.
Yeah.
And sent all that paperwork in. And I promise you, that is a load of paperwork, especially on a doctor who sees a lot of patients per day. She was amazing. The bad part of really with the VA is the waiting game. There are so many now great benefits with the VA. Yeah, a lot of it is healthcare basis. Uh, the mental health aspect with it is ever growing. Uh, they're still learning a lot with mental health, especially when it comes to battling depression.
Hmm.
But with the VA, early on it sucked. Yeah, I'll admit it. Later on, now it's a great benefit. And anybody that's getting out or has been out and is still questioning the VA, I'm gonna tell you, like I tell people when they look for a job, what's the worst they can tell you? No. And I guarantee you go to the VA, the last thing they're going to tell you is no.
Yeah, I mean it's been a struggle for myself and the listeners that have actually listened to most of them. I repeat a lot of myself because it took my wife putting a fire up under the VA at the DC level to get me checked out.
White House.
Yep. And I found out that I've got a cyst on my spine that I've probably had for the last 10 years.
Mm.
And nerve damage in my right side to where I can't feel my right half of my body all the way up to my ear from my toes.
Right.
But I finally got a doctor at the VA in the neurological department here at Dorn that's actually taking this seriously, where 80% of the time it's, oh, you're fine. The tests show nothing, so you're fine.
Well, what's going off of that just in the general, like, so when I first got out, they were all contracted doctors. All the VA doctors were contracted.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a physical, like an actual VA doctor. And
they're doing their rotations in and they're doing their term and getting the fuck out.
And then when I started going to all these appointments, that I found out that the VA has actual doctors. Like my VA primary care has been my primary care for the past 3 years. And he's not going anywhere. He even said, I'm not going anywhere. He goes, the VA can shut down. I'm still going to be your primary care doctor.
That's awesome. I'm happy for you on that one.
And that's the thing is, like, with the VA having actual doctors now makes the difference. When they put in where a lot of the VA hospitals actually have VA doctors that are there 5 days a week, sometimes 6, depending on the hospital, that are primary cares, that makes the difference.
Hell yeah.
Because those guys and gals know what you're going through. They know your whole history. They're not trying to run you through a million different other tests. That's the one thing. And like it took so after we got that paperwork in with my VSO, it took longer than normal because of I figured it was because of all the tests. Come to find out, I think it was last year is when I found it out. My VSO actually had to call DC herself to get that ball rolling because I kept asking, have you heard anything? I'm wasn't angry, wasn't mad at her, whatever. I was just like, hey, have you heard anything? I mean, it's going to be a yes or no. So, and then come to find out, like last year, she actually called DC from the VSO's perspective, and it's like, hey, this guy's been waiting. What's taking so damn long? And she actually put a fire up under their ass. And beneficial for you, luckily, your wife was able to do that for you. Granted, the sad thing is, and the sad reality of it is not everybody has that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is you have to, once you put in the paperwork for whatever, it can be as simple as tinnitus, or, if you have chronic headaches, or if it's all the above and you're lower half is gone, whatever, and you have to put in the paperwork on it. The one thing with the VA, and I will say this to my undying breath, is you have to stay on top of them until they get you an answer. That's about the only, out of the past 5 years, I'm just going to say 5 years. That's the only downside I can say, honestly, with the VA that I have found in my personal experiences. You have to stay on top of them. And then hopefully, depending on the area you were in, you can find a great primary care VA doctor, either at an outpatient clinic or the main hospital. Because mine, ironically, they built an outpatient clinic at a smaller city over, and that's where my primary care doctor is at. So anytime I can have the sniffles, and I can send him a message saying, "Hey, I got the sniffles," and he'd be like, "All right, come in tomorrow." That's that makes the difference. I'm not gonna lie, that makes a difference.
Well, that's amazing. I'm happy to hear that. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, and let's do a call to action. So in your personal mind, when it comes to new or younger troops, no matter what branch, but vets in general, that are looking to get help or don't even know, but think they have an inkling they need to get help, what would you say to them?
Dude, you got two organizations right here that all it takes is a phone call. That's literally. So if you are a young vet or even active, I'm not even going to say young vet, active, or even in general, people overall, look, it's apparent nowadays that a lot of people wait to speak instead of actually listen. Is a very big perspective. For one, associate with the people that do listen, and you can tell the difference because they'll remember it. Two, especially if you're a vet and you're looking to, hey, where do I start? The Realms of Asgard, Combat Tested Gaming, American Legion, all have Discord. The Discord is a complete virtual and mobile thing now. It's not it's not where it's segregated to where people think it's only gamers. It's not. It hasn't been that way for a very long time. It's completely mobile, completely free. You go on there and ask simple questions. Hey, because I know for Combat Tested Gaming, we have several VSOs, or there's a lot of people in TROA and CTG that are mental health certified. You have a million different resources at your fingertips. Utilize every single one of them, because the longer you are quiet, the more you're going to hurt. And it's not hurting us, it's hurting yourself,
And
hurting your family.
Your people
you
around
need to talk. You need to actually, don't be scared. I know introvert's a major thing nowadays. Talk to people. Even if it's on a virtual aspect, talk to people. And that's what you really need to do. Just put your name out there, put your voice out there, because it's going to get heard. You may feel like the small totem pole or a small man on the totem pole, but you're going to be heard. I promise you. Somebody is going to hear you. And that person will do big things for you. Either become your friend, your mentor, point you in the right direction, something. That's going to make your difference. But you have to be the one to actually say hi. And that's all it's going to take, is a simple hi.
Well, again, Josh, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Smiles 1988. If you get into TROA or CTG, I'm sure you'll be able to find him. Reach out to him. Amazing guy. And of course, thank you everybody for listening. Mark, do you got any final words to close out this episode?
Yeah, so this is episode
8.
8. So we've done 8 episodes, and I think out of this one, sitting in on it and actually participating, I I think that this episode actually shows a lot of the growth for the Ravens Whispers podcast, and what our intentions are is to help everybody, whether you're a veteran, whether you're just a normal civilian. Yeah, we got a lot of good vets. We got Josh here. We got Lynn, we got Austin, we got Randall. For this wonderful podcast that we have. But um, we got some really cool things that are going to be happening, and some really cool announcements that will be coming out here very soon. So just keep your eyes peeled, and it's always great to collaborate with CTG. And I think that the partnership is growing tremendously in the core of how it was to what it is now. So we'll just continue to keep to do what we do, and the mission is to stop the stigma.
Absolutely. And keep it in the description for all the audio listeners out there. We're going to have links to both TROA and CTG's socials. Of course, TROA Inc. on all platforms for just about everything, minus the podcast itself, of course, you can find by the Ravens Whispers across the 9 realms. And that's the number 9 realms. And CTG Combat Tested Gaming will put all the links in the descriptions across all the platforms that this is posted. And Josh, Mark, thank you again for joining me, Randall, Joker. Hi, everybody, and bye. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Drops the mic.
Helheim's gates, the shadows near. We walked through sorrow, faced our fear. But Fenris howl could not divide the shield wall forged in fire and pride.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You love crowns. It's okay.
To Raven Whisper, we now rise, where eagles scream and fate defies. 9 realms behind, but not alone. Together we have built our own. Through blood and bond, through storm and sky, we found the truth no gold could buy. Our names will echo loud and far. We are the sons and daughters of the stars.
Mark is
you-
my
Those are
rage
fun.
room.